and gases. Don't bother with a dehumidifier. It just circulates the same unhealthy air. Get the Wave Ventilation Unit. It will transform your home into a drier, healthier environment. Satisfaction guaranteed. Call 1-888-964-WAVE. That's 1-888-964-WAVE.
All right, 5 minutes after 11 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in this last day of 2013. There's one thing that I've seen firsthand, and it's people in pain. And I don't want to bring anybody down by giving you the details, but and you know what? I know I'm not alone in this. Everybody has seen this, or you've been a person in pain. Fortunately for me, knock on wood and everything, the pain that I've had has been nothing compared to some of the people I've known. My brother is a veterinarian. He's worked with animals that have been in extreme pain. Anyway, so we have Dr. Heather Tick on the phone. She is an integrative, is that how you say that word, Robin? Medical practitioner. How do you say that word?
Integrative.
Integrative. Medical practitioner, speaker, author. Her book is called Holistic Pain Relief. Her breakthrough strategies to manage and eliminate pain. And that word holistic kind of hints, for me, I'm going to find out if I'm right about this assumption, that it might have to do with natural ways to relieve pain. So let's find out from Dr. Tick. Good morning, doctor.
Good morning. How are you both?
Pretty good. Where are you? Where are you calling from?
I'm in Seattle.
Oh, well, thank you for getting up so early.
Not a problem at all.
So when we're at 2014, you're still going to be in 2013.
That's absolutely true. I have, how many hours on you? 3 hours.
Yeah,
right?
about 3 hours, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for being on the air. Am I right in my assumption that the word holistic implies that these are natural ways?
Well, holistic and integrative really imply that we use the best of everything available.
Okay.
So I'm medically trained. I went to a conventional medical school, and I don't want to throw away all the wonderful advances that medicine has made. But I think it's also important for us to recognize that the dream of quick fixes and cures and a surgery or a drug that's perfect for every condition that we have is really unrealistic. And that's how the marketing, unfortunately, has gone. So a lot of people are really expecting that doctors should have a quick fix for everything. And really what we need to depend on is enhancing our body's ability to heal. So sometimes things need to be fixed. If you have a broken bone, you need to have it set properly. Right. There are certain surgeries that are crucial, but we do way too many surgeries, searching for cures that are really elusive. And we have a lot of people who end up in more pain after surgery than they had before.
Is there anything in your practice that substantiates or kind of supports the idea of pressure points or acupressure as far as relieving pain? And I guess what I'm getting at is maybe not acupuncture, or maybe you want to talk about that too. But like I've heard, for example, this may sound wacky, I can't remember, if you pinch your earlobe, your headache will go away, things like that. Mm-hmm. Is there anything true about that?
Absolutely. The principles of traditional Chinese medicine are what you're talking about. And the traditional Chinese medicine and acupuncture, and that's what acupressure is based on, they spoke about these meridians in the body that are energy pathways. And we're now starting to get, with some of our newer technologies, actual evidence that these exist. Now, they don't exist in the way we've been looking for them till now, which is we've been kind of cutting into bodies and saying, okay, so where's the tube that carries the energy, right, like the artery carries the blood? And that isn't how it works. It seems the evolving science of something called fascia is giving us the key to this, that the fascia actually represents energy pathways through the body. And so, yes, you can, there's a good headache point between your thumb and your first finger in the web space there. That's a good headache point.
Wow.
Earlobes can be very powerful. The military is using what they are now calling battlefield acupuncture, which are points on the ears to reduce pain acutely on the battlefield.
Okay, so two questions, if you don't mind me putting two together in one. The first thought that a skeptic might have is it's psychological. And so the second question is, and so that's a question, could it be psychological? And the second question is, if it's not psychological, I'm assuming it would work on an animal. My brother's a veterinarian, and a dog, they're not going to be reacting to you suggesting that it'll help them, right?
Right. That's absolutely right. So let me deal with the second one first.
Okay.
Acupuncture is widely done on animals.
Really?
And it can be very effective. Yeah, they've even done surgeries on animals using acupuncture.
That's amazing.
So that's the second part, which is the easy part. The first part is actually more fun because we are really a mind, body, spirit. We're not just a body with a mind stuck on top of it. And when you look at the science of mind-body medicine, you realize that the neurotransmitters, which are the chemicals that send messages from nerves to nerves and nerves to muscles and nerves to the immune system and nerves to everything else, that those same chemicals operate throughout the body. So if you have the feeling that, for example, you're drinking a strong cup of coffee, but nobody told you it was decaf, and your body is conditioned to knowing what a cup of coffee does to it, which is it wakes it up, your body actually prepares for that while you're still smelling the coffee. And so it's all working as a unit. And so if you do believe that it works better, all the better. You're going to have a better result.
Oh, wow.
But you don't have to have that belief. I mean, one of the stories I tell in my book is my father, who had some shoulder pain, and conventional medicine wasn't helping him. And so I sent him off to a chiropractor who did acupuncture because I was studying some acupuncture at the time. And my father looked at me and rolled his eyes and said, "Give me a break. This isn't going to work." And I said, "Fine, just humor me. If it isn't going to work, it's okay." So,
oh, wow.
You know, what's the deal? He went. He got better in a very few sessions and became a lifelong advocate of acupuncture.
Oh, wow.
Now, how about the people that seem to be sick all the time? Are they really sick, or do they just want sympathy from others so they don't have to do much?
Well, I think it's very difficult to make an assumption about a broad group of people like that. I think there are people throughout the spectrum. So yes, there are people who will use illness in order to navigate their life because that's how they've learned to cope. And then there are others who have conditions that we can't figure out. And just because medicine can't figure out what's wrong doesn't mean there's nothing wrong. And that's just, that's part of the evolving status of medicine.
That's
and
true.
Science is always trying to catch up. Things happened long before we knew what was actually happening. So women would get pain at the certain times of their cycles long before we had ultrasounds that showed that they had cysts that sometimes ruptured. So we have to keep an open mind about things and always keep looking and always at the same time keep coping. So for those people who use illness in order to navigate life, they need to learn different life skills.
Oh,
very
wow.
often there are people who haven't learned how to soothe themselves. They haven't learned how to comfort themselves. And we all know when a little kid falls down and hurts itself, when mommy kisses it better, that's magic medicine. It actually gets better. That child improves. It feels less pain. And it's because the anxiety is less, and the body chemistry changes with all of those interventions. So it's all a matter of body chemistry. And the body chemistry is the same as the brain chemistry. And so all of our parts are talking to each other all the time.
I'm not telling you this to get sympathy. I just want to start with that. A year ago, just a little bit over a year ago, my mom died. Mm-hmm. About 2 years ago, well, let me go back about 22 years ago, she had one of her breasts removed. She was 87, I think, when she died, something like that. All right, so she had a mastectomy, and she lived 21 years, I think, something like that. In other words, she was a breast cancer survivor. Mm-hmm. But the breast removal caused something to happen in her arm. The last year of her life, her arm on the side where the breast was removed became super large. It was unbelievable, and the pain was really unbearable for her.
Yeah.
The one thing I always wish that somebody could have, I tried to convince her, but I don't think she, I don't know, she didn't want to believe in like acupuncture, and we at that time we had a chiropractor that used to come in here and do a regular show, and he used to tell me about acupuncture, and I thought, well, why, try it to see. It might sound nutty, but I'm glad to hear you say what you said, that that you're following. And, you know, for the sake of anybody listening right now, that if there's a way and you can do it, then do it. How would we know as people who really is good at acupuncture and who's not? Is there a certificate on the wall? How do we know?
Well, there are courses and certifications. Each state has its own certifying body, and acupuncturists need to be certified. And then in all things, sometimes it's a match. So I don't know if you've ever taken tennis lessons, but I've taken tennis lessons from dozens of tennis instructors, and some of them really get my game, and some of them don't, even though they're very good and have lots of credentials on the wall. And so to some extent it is trial and error. There are some who may really, really connect with what the condition is that you have and be able to help you more than others. And unfortunately I don't have any magic for trying to figure it out. I mean, what do? I just moved to Seattle. I'm just trying to figure out my way around the healthcare community here, even though I work in it, but trying to figure out, okay, so who do I want to use to do my massage, or go to which chiropractor do I want to see? And so I go by reputation. I talk to people I know, and what kind of work.
It's like a mechanic, right? You got to find
it. Is absolutely.
Will this help people? Will this help women who are pregnant throughout their pregnancy to help with their back pain and whatever, the swelling in their feet? And then when it's time for them to give birth naturally, are they able to do it with less pain?
There are protocols for using acupuncture in deliveries, certainly. During pregnancy, there are a variety of opinions on that. Now, first let me say that if acupuncture was really good at inducing abortions or miscarriages, China wouldn't have had its population problems. So it's not as though it causes spontaneous abortions or miscarriages. However, 33% of all pregnancies miscarry. And so if you've been doing acupuncture on a woman early in her pregnancy and she miscarries, given the climate with allopathic medicine, which is conventional medicine, and integrative medicine, which are the alternatives, somebody might point fingers and say that you caused that. A lot of acupuncturists are reluctant to do acupuncture during pregnancy. It's not to say that some don't, and that they're putting women at tremendous risk. I don't think it is tremendously risky, but we don't have the science. So we haven't ever done a study on pregnant women saying, okay, we're going to do acupuncture on these and no acupuncture on those, and we're going to see who has more miscarriages.
Oh yeah, you can't do that.
You can't do that. But that would be really the only way of knowing for sure.
Yeah. Let me reintroduce our guest and then go to the phones. Dr. Heather Tick is our guest, and her book is called Holistic Pain Relief, her breakthrough strategies to manage and eliminate pain. And good information. I can't wait to find out how to get the book. First, are you okay with taking phone calls first of all?
Absolutely.
Yeah? Okay. Good morning. Thank you for waiting. You're on the air with Dr. Tick.
Hey, good morning, Dr. Heather. First of all, I'm a real strong supporter of acupuncture. I was introduced to it 25 years ago to quit smoking cigarettes. Had one treatment, I was done. Haven't had a cigarette since. Just amazing stuff. But I've used it ever since then for energy and this and that. And I'm going to hit you with a couple of questions, but I've recommended friends, specifically women that have migraines, and they'll go have an acupuncture treatment, and it's better than any medication they've had. The migraines go away. But Reiki, using Reiki with acupuncture, terrific results there. But if you've been doing acupuncture for 25 plus years, is there a point where you have to have more acupuncture to get the same results as you did when you first tried it? I don't know if that makes sense or not, but strong supporter of acupuncture. It's great stuff, and there's a phenomenal acupuncturist in town, Larry and Robin. I'll give you her name later. I don't want to violate any advertising rules, but she is great. And I'll hang up and get the answer. Thanks, guys.
All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you for your comments. There isn't really over a period of years. I don't think people get tolerant to acupuncture in the way we know that they get tolerant to pain medications. So we all know that when you take narcotic type pain medications that they work less and less well over time. Acupuncture doesn't seem to. However, if you're doing something for 20 years, you're also 20 years older, and so your joints are 20 years older and your muscles are 20 years more strained. And so there might be slightly different things that you're actually needing to treat. So things may need to change in terms of your treatment protocol. Reiki is another energy medicine. It's wonderful. There's some very good science behind it as well, and it can be very effective for some people as well. So it's a very good way of treating migraines.
We are so interested in some of the things you're saying, but I know the book covers a lot of different things, including eating right to prevent pain, and I think the book is the important part of this conversation. But I know our listeners are anxious to talk to you. Can we squeeze in one more, or do you have to run?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yep,
good morning. Thank you for waiting. You're on the air with Dr. Heather Tick.
Good morning, Larry. Good morning, Ron. Good morning, Doctor. This is June, and I have a question for you. I have been recommended twice now by two different orthopedics for a shoulder replacement, and this absolutely terrifies me. I used to do physical therapy. I used to own fitness centers, and I did a lot of weightlifting and things like that. My CAT scans and everything show that the shoulder joint is actually bone on bone. It's so worn down, and it is painful, I must admit. I've tried laser therapy, EMS, haven't tried acupuncture. I've been to chiropractors. I don't like pain medication. I don't take that. And I'm wondering what your opinion is of this, and have I missed some modality that I could try? And I will hang up, and I wish everybody a Happy New Year, and I'll listen to your answer.
All right, thank you.
Okay. Thank you, June. Shoulder deterioration, the way you're describing it, is certainly a difficult issue to treat. Shoulder replacement surgery is certainly done. There are a lot of limitations to your shoulder ability to move afterwards in terms of the range of motion you can get back. And my understanding and reading of the latest literature on it is that it is not at the level of knee and hip replacements, for example, in terms of the types of results and the satisfaction that people have with those results. At the same time, I can't give you specific information medically for you, so I'm really just speaking generally with information. I think that there might be some other things that you could look into. Right now, there's a lot of activity going on with regenerative medicine, where people are finding different sources of stem cells in different parts of our bodies. We've known for a while that blood has it, bone marrow obviously has it, but now this is the greatest thing of all. A new source of stem cells is our fat. So our fat might actually have some good beneficial use for it. And you can get a little bit of liposuction along with your treatment for regenerative medicine. But there's a lot of work going on in that area. I don't know what they've been doing with shoulders. I know that once the cartilage is totally gone, bone on bone, even regenerative medicine becomes more difficult. But if you can manage it, I would use, there is low-intensity laser, which I think you said you used. That can just be good for pain, for analgesia. Acupuncture can certainly be good for analgesia as well. And try and see what you can do by keeping your own parts. Because once they remove that whole joint and part of the bone, it's gone. And so I can understand why you're having some concerns about it.
People are being encouraged to receive flu shots no matter what their age is. Sometimes they have all this achiness and distress associated with those shots. Do you recommend them?
Based on the latest review studies and what are called the Cochrane review studies, which are the large reviews of the literature, they do not support the flu shot works. I base my opinion on those studies, those major studies.
Okay, and if you're able to, we'll squeeze in one more call. Okay.
Okay.
Are you okay with that? Okay.
I'm okay with that.
Let me go to the phone. Somebody's been waiting a little while. Dr. Heather Tick is our guest. Good morning. You're on the air with Dr. Heather Tick.
Yes, good morning, doctor. Has hypnosis ever been applied or used for pain relief?
The answer to that is a big yes. Absolutely. It's been used quite extensively. It gets used in dental practices. It gets used in labor and delivery, and it can be very useful for pain. All of the mind-body techniques, including meditation, guided imagery, biofeedback, and hypnosis is one of those therapies that can be very helpful.
Doctor, thank you for being on the air with us. I'm looking forward to seeing the book. It's called Holistic Pain Relief, and probably is the book I'll keep on the shelf because every once in a while somebody will have something. Oh, I'll have a headache, and I say, "What did she say about the headache?" You know, that's the one thing real quick. I'll squeeze in one from when I was much younger. I had a knee ache, and I worked for the state of Florida at the time, and it literally was very painful to climb stairs. Robin remembers this. It was so painful. I went to the doctor and they did some kind of a test, and they determined that nothing was wrong. And I'm just well, I guess this is a listening audience. Doesn't really matter. But I was basically made to feel that I was faking it.
Yeah.
And that I was trying to somehow get out of work, and I really wasn't. In fact, I went to work.
Yeah.
I went to work with it. And so what you said way at the beginning of our interview, that sometimes they can't find anything, happened to me.
Yeah. Well, and in particular in the issue that you're discussing, you probably had a muscle and a tendon problem. None of the tests that we have show up our muscles and tendons very well. And so the right answer to to you after you had your tests would be there's nothing we can see on the tests that explains it, as opposed to there's nothing wrong. There's nothing that the doctor you were seeing could use in his knowledge base to understand it, because we don't teach muscle physiology and we don't teach practical use of muscles in medical school very well in terms of how do the muscles function and how can they dysfunction to cause problems. So you probably had an imbalance of some of your muscles, likely in your quadriceps.
Yeah.
That would be the most likely one. And medicine didn't have the answer, but a chiropractor or a physical therapist or a massage therapist might have.
Can I tell you how it went away? I know you're going to think this is really nutty, and I hope you don't think I'm really nutty, but this is absolutely the truth. My knee was off and on hurting, and when it would hurt the most, it was my right knee. It was when I was driving. And so I literally had to put my right leg into the passenger seat of the car, not in the seat, but I mean the foot area, over the hump, and use my left foot on the gas pedal until the pain went away, and then I could put everything back where it needed to be. Probably not something the Highway Patrol wants to hear about.
No. Probably not. Probably not. I think the statute of limitations has expired on that.
Yes, it was a long time ago.
Yeah. So I would actually back up then and say that likely you had a problem with what are called the external hip rotators that were then radiating down and giving you the pain that seemed to be in your knee. Yeah.
So here's my religious part of this, and I'm not a religious fanatic in any way, but this is what happened. I went to church with my mother, and the pastor said we're going to have a healing prayer. Anybody who has something hurting, touch it, think about it, and we'll say a prayer. Now, to be honest, I'm a real skeptic about everything. But I said, what do I got to lose? I put my hand on my knee, and I thought, my thoughts along with the prayers that the pastor was saying, and then went out to the car, and the pain was still there. So I thought, I gave it a shot, But I'm telling you the truth, doctor, 2 days later or so, I might be off on the timing, 2 or 3 days later, I was driving, and the pain was gone. All of a sudden, I noticed, hey, it's absolutely gone. So I don't know. So that's my little testimony for the power of prayer.
That's a great story. I like it.
I like you. I like this interview.
Yeah.
This was a great interview. God, I know we went way over. I hope it was okay with you and whoever you're working with. How do we get
Kim? She's a good publisher.
How do we get the book?
The book is at Barnes & Noble, online and in the stores. It's on Amazon. It is at some of the smaller booksellers, and it can be found also at the publisher's website, which is New World Library.
And do you have a website?
I do have a website. It's heathertickmd.com, and I post some interesting information on there on holistic health issues.
Okay, Heather Tick is spelled exactly the way it sounds, and I just went to it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you're a pretty lady.
She's gorgeous.
Oh, wow, look at that.
She is gorgeous.
Oh, wow.
There are...
you can check my heartbeat anytime.
It seems like fibromyalgia is coming more and more to the forefront. Should people be concerned that this might become hereditary?
Well, that's a very good question. We don't really know what fibromyalgia is. In medicine, we tend to like to give things labels, and once we give it a label, we tend to think it makes it more real. Mm-hmm. And not to say that fibromyalgia isn't real. It is real. It's just that we don't know really what causes it. We know some features of it. We know that people with fibromyalgia are more sensitive to pain and pressure. So even if you touch their muscles gently, they often have a great deal of pain, which is very distressing because a hug can hurt. And yet we don't know how people get into that state. And there are probably a variety of ways. But that's probably a whole nother show, because there's a lot to talk about there. It in itself is not hereditary, but some of the factors that make you susceptible to becoming fibromyalgic, some of the ways your muscle metabolism works, or the way that you detoxify things in your body, those may actually be hereditary.
Wow.
You are definitely welcome back anytime. If you are hurting, you might want to check out this book. I went to the website. It's heathertickmd.com. There's information on there about carpal tunnel, holistic pain relief, a beautiful photograph of Dr. Tick, and the book, again, is called Holistic Pain Relief. Doctor, thank you for taking some time out of your morning to be with us, and have a happy new year, and we definitely invite you, open invitation anytime you want to come back.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. I'll take you up on that. It was a pleasure.
Great conversation.
Have a happy new year.
Thank you. We'll take a little break, and we'll be right back.
You're listening to WOCA News Talk 1370, Ocala's source for what's happening in today's hottest, up-to-date news and topics.
Now is the time to take advantage of Florida Credit Union's CD specials. Our 36-month CD comes in at 1.26% APY. A 24-month is working for you at 1.0% APY. And our 12-month at 0.75% APY. All CD rate specials require $10,000 minimum. With friendly service and rates like these, it's not hard to see why Florida Credit Union has your CD options covered. Florida Credit Union, connecting your money to your life. Call 352-237-8222 for more information. Must act by 1/15/14.
Hi, Robin. You look tired.
I am. I've been running all over town.
Why? Why not drive?
I need to get this stupid document notarized.
Oh, that's easy. You need personal service.
Duh. That's what I've been looking for.
You need to go see Mark at the Personal Service Center. He can notarize that for you, make copies, fax it wherever.